Today, a diet that is gaining huge buzz and momentum, the Paleo diet. Now, followers say they are shedding drastic amounts of weight and are warding off debilitating diseases. But what's the trick? You have to eat like our Stone Age ancestors. If you think that means eating hunks of meat off the bone, or if this sounds like man food, well, think again. Even I was surprised to learn what it means to eat paleo. It spawned dozens of books, nearly all bestsellers, and hundreds of blogs, message boards, and magazine articles. So what has everyone so excited about a diet based on cavemen and Stone Age times? The Paleo diet promises you'll easily lose your unwanted pounds, and it could ward off debilitating diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and even some cancers. Dr. Loren Cordain, a researcher of evolutionary medicine, has spent his career studying the diet of our ancestors and spun the phenomenon into motion. He focused on the connection between living off the land and longevity. Dr. Cordain believes eating wild plants and animals is your prescription for optimum health. But if you're worried about eating hunks of meat and think this is not for you, that's where Paleoista Nell Stevenson comes in. She's adapted the Paleo diet for every modern woman and says she can help you get the weight off. No hunting gear required. Dr. Loren Cordain, author of The Paleo Diet, and Nell Stevenson, author of Paleoista, are here. So Dr. Cordain, you argue that every single woman in America ought to be on the Paleo diet. And what is it about the Paleo diet that excites you as a scientist? Why should it work when so many other diets have failed America?
It's got many characteristics that combine all of the best ideas we've ever had about nutrition. So, for one, it's a high-protein diet, a low glycemic load diet, and we know that those characteristics of diet are perhaps the best way to get weight off and to keep it off. Secondly, it's very high in fruits and vegetables that contain healthy phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals, which tend to promote immune function and make us a lot healthier. It's also very high in long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, which help to calm down inflammation. And there are multiple characteristics beyond that, but those are the major ones.
So Nell, show us what kinds of foods are on the Paleo diet. I brought some samples here, and just walk us through what would typically be on this diet.
Yes, absolutely. Lovely protein. We have free-range poultry, grass-fed meats, wild salmon, local organic produce, lots of veggies and fruit, and then healthy fats from coconut oil, olive oil, and avocado, and also some raw nuts in moderation.
So if I compare this to a typical low-carb diet, and there are several out there now, how is this different?
To be clear, it's not the Atkins diet. You're not walking around all day eating hunks of bacon and pieces of cheese. It's actually really balanced, and you're getting a nice amount of local produce in every meal.
Well, I must say, I often thought the Paleo diet was Fred Flintstone.
Yeah.
Taking that big hunk of meat that rolled over his car.
Exactly.
So I see the meat part of it, but for example, there's no dairy on here. Is
No.
dairy in this program?
No, there are no inflammatory foods. So there's no dairy, no grains, no legumes, no refined sugars. Basically, everything you're eating should be whole, fresh food, nothing in a package or a wrapper. And the reason I say that is because most of the things you're going to find in a wrapper are highly processed.
Well, let me ask Dr. Cordain a question. We'll have a seat here. When I come back to this idea of the Paleo diet, and I've been asked about it so much recently, I'm generally surrounded, even in my own case, by misconceptions. People trying to explain it to me, but not quite getting it right. So what's, in your opinion, because you're probably the world expert in this diet, what is the biggest misconception about the Paleo diet?
Well, thank you for the nice compliment, but I think probably the biggest thing that people think is that it's a fad diet. And if it is a fad diet, it's the longest living fad we've ever had. It goes for 2.5 million years up until about 10,000 years ago.
You argue actually that it helps reduce heart disease, helps reduce diabetes, high blood pressure. These are big claims. Is there really enough data to back that up? You even challenge the concept that the Mediterranean diet may not be as healthy as this.
That's absolutely right. If we look at the endpoints for cardiovascular disease, we can look at blood pressure, we can look at blood cholesterol. Paleo diet is superior to those in the 7 or 8 randomized controlled trials.
So now let me reduce this to practice, because the big question for most of our viewers is, can I lose weight on this diet?
Absolutely.
So how much and how long, how difficult?
I've seen in some cases people have lost tremendous amounts of weight, sometimes 75 pounds in about 6 months. Granted, it's going to depend on how much weight somebody has to lose in the first place. If you're somebody who's trying to lose that post-baby weight and you've got that last 10 pounds, it may not be as dramatic. but it will be slow but steady.
So Nell practices paleo with her clients, and I'll let you, if you can, walk us through the 5 rules you argue we have to appreciate in order to truly practice the paleo diet.
Sure.
So rule number 1, and we're going to build a plate for everybody, is to understand what foods are in this and how much of these foods. So build me a paleo plate if you don't mind.
Absolutely, and it's really simple. So first we're going to start with a plate, and we're going to add about 2/3 fresh veggies. The more variety, the better. The more color, the better.